Now, the delayed devolution of policing is one of the issues I've been raising with Bertie Ahern in his first interview with Hearts and Minds since he stepped down as Taoiseach. He insists the future of the IRA Army Council formed no part of the St Andrews Agreement and even praises Aon Paisley for resisting the temptation, as he puts it, to make an issue of it at that time. But although he says devolution should have happened long ago, in true Bertie style, he remains upbeat.
It's been a good year. A lot of progress has been made. The administration has settled relatively well. There's always some problems on the edges. Policing was the remaining issue. In my view, it's a commitment that has to be honoured. And obviously, the unions will try and get some commitment from Sinn Féin on a few issues that they want. So that nothing has really changed in that, but it's one that has to be cracked. And I quite clear in my view on it that a straight commitment was given that this should be done, and it should have been long done at this stage. Obviously there's negotiations around now how that's going to happen, but it has to be dealt with. I mean, normal policing that can look after the community in a safe and fair and truthful way is an essential, and it was agreed that it would be done. The horse dealing around that is
the point made by Peter Robinson that until the IRA has completely gone away, until the Army Council has folded its tent and gone away, you can't think about developing the level of trust required to bring devolution of policing? Well,
it's many years ago I said that I think the Army Council, under the legislation, under what was written back in the 1938 Act here, it would be better if that did move away into a commemorative organisation. It's not just going to fold its tent and say it doesn't exist in some form. Of course, bringing certainty is a fair thing to say. But I'd have to remind people that all of that was known when the agreement was made, and when the British government have a very clear agreement on the date for devolution. So it's not only now or in the last year that we discovered that there's a thing called the Army Council. Would I like to see a certainty about moving it away? Of course I would. Was that a commitment? No, it wasn't.
So when the IMC says in its most recent report that the Army Council still exists but has no strategic role, is that far enough, do you think?
Well, if I'm reading Peter Robinson, he obviously thinks it's not. But perhaps there's room for the IRA itself to spell out what no strategic role has. I mean, I don't expect to see the IRA ever issuing a statement saying they no longer exist in any role. Maybe everyone will be very happy if they do, but I think cows will fly before we'll see that. That's my personal view. The IRA moving to a commemorative organisation where they will remember events and honour people of the past. Well, that's what the old IRA did, and they caused no trouble to anyone from the 30s until effectively their last members died.
But blood is running very high over this when we've had Sinn Féin saying that the whole edifice could collapse if it's not brought about. We've got the unionists saying, well, we can't do this until you tell us that it's all completely finished.
I have to restate again, because it was part of these discussions and talks, the devolution of policing was not predicated on the Army Council doing this, that or the other. It was not on that. It was a solemn agreement the Irish government, the British government were engaged and involved in that said we would have the devolution of policing. That is the effect of it.
But the problem is, and this is perhaps the unrolling of that, is that it was an agreement between the governments and the unionists don't feel any obligation on that basis.
Well, I think they were well aware of it, but it's never a good thing to get on either side of the fence and say this is our position. And we'll never look across the fence, so that doesn't get you anywhere. But it will only be resolved by direct negotiation and on the understandings that were there and the agreement that was there, and goodwill then between the DUP and Sinn Féin to try and move it forward. And in fairness to Dr. Paisley, I mean, he resisted the temptation, and I know it was a temptation, to highlight this. I mean, he clearly wanted the ceasing of the Army Council and wanted absolute clarity in it. But I think either side escalating it is never a good idea.